I've mentioned before that many times I have constituents who come to my office. I now get calls from all over the province, so this is not an isolated incident, and I firmly believe that despite the best efforts of social workers and the department, we have a revolving door of children coming in and out of the care of the minister. We know that children need safety, security, and stability, and these three things are the foundation of the Family Services Act as it relates to child protection. Yet kids come in and out of care for periods of time, up to 3 to 6 months, only to be returned and then coming back later. I'm reading from notes because I think it's important that I get this right. Because for a long time, I felt that I was kind of barking down the wrong trail. I no longer feel that. In fact, I feel very confident in what I'm saying here today. These kids experience several foster homes, and the upheaval of moving is hard on them as they often are removed from their community due to a lack of foster homes. I remember talking with a teacher who told me that a young girl in her grade 2 class had been in 6 different schools by February, from September to February, because she was in and out of foster care in different homes. Nobody wants that. I get it. Nobody wants that. But the Family Services Act is from the 1980s, and it's been revised a few times in and out. There's always revisions being made. There's always revisions sitting on the table unproclaimed, but it's outdated. And children need a stable home. Services to parents are limited, and many of them do not take advantage of them for various reasons, and children are returned despite very little being done to make significant change. The courts do not recognize social workers as experts. It is oftentimes they are listening to legal counsel as opposed to the real experts and the frontline workers that are put before them. And I have often said, I'm trying to understand if this is law, regulation, or policy that's allowing children to be going back to homes that do not have a standard of care that we expect in our society. And I firmly believe that we can't be on our high horse and expect it to be perfect. I'm not asking for that. But when we recently have a case in St. John where a family of 5 children were found in filth and neglect, we have to stop and pause after thinking that we've learned our lesson from tragic cases in the past, that there still isn't gaps. I'm seeing those gaps in our offices. I've brought them forward every year in estimates and public accounts for the last 3.5 years, trying to understand this, because I absolutely understand this is not easy to get our heads around. And as MLAs, it takes a long time to learn this process. And not being in the middle of social development, it's all piecemeal. All the information is piecemeal from what we can gather. And I go through the records from 2016 and 2017 and the questions I'm asking today, and I'm still not getting definitive answers. And that's why I'm going to ask the minister, can the minister explain why a large number of children are spending multiple times in the care of the minister when we know that permanency, safety, and security is what children need? And what are we doing coming forward to make those changes?
To the member opposite, through you, Mr. Chair, the Family Group Conference for the Child and Care Program was introduced as a method to increase options for permanency for children in a permanent care of the minister. Government is committed to the safe, well-being, and permanency of the children of youth, and we all want that, as the member opposite stated. Children in permanent care of the minister have reconnected and strengthened connections with members of the family network through the FGC, Child and Care Services. Family connections over lifelong supports that extend beyond the child's involvement in care system and assist children in achieving and maintaining permanency. Family group conferencing supports the core belief that every young person deserves permanent connections Stable connections are crucial to building blocks for the development. We all want that for children, and we'll continue to work hard for that.
You know, Mr. Chair, what I really wanted was for the minister to stand up and say, we have gaps. The gaps are there, and they're identified. They're being identified, unfortunately, in a very public way. But he's not standing up to say that. He's not saying that he's going to show leadership and take this department in the direction it needs to go. He's operating on an interim policy for kinship from March of 2009, something I pointed out to him a year ago. And I'm sorely disappointed. I'm even at the point of getting angry, because we're talking about children's lives, and I know that there isn't a social worker in this department that doesn't want to protect children. But this minister is not the one to do it. I've called for this minister's resignation. I'm calling for it again today because I don't have any faith that he has the leadership to take this department where it needs to go. I'm through with my questions for today.
May I, Mr. Chair, to respond to that? Every day since I've got into the social development, I've worked very hard for all the children and all the people in the care, not only the care, but our clients. I work with, and I hope the member opposite is listening. She rambled. I have worked with this department day in and day out, holidays, weekends, nights, days, to work hard for the people. And any time, and I've yet to hear from the member opposite, call my office and discuss any issues. Anytime we do receive issues, I talk to our staff, and we always find out the best quality of care for that child or that person or client in social development. I am very proud of the staff that I work with. I work very hard day in, day out, and I will continue to work hard. And I travel the province, going to all 8 of our districts for social development, talking to the leaders of those departments, and meet with all staff, and I will continue to do so. Every time I do, if there's issues, I listen and I bring it back to staff, and we see and we do work hard on them. Every person is different. One thing I've learned from being a former police officer is that nothing is black and white. Nothing. So when you deal with people, there's a lot of gray matter, and I'm very proud not only of the work that I've done to ensure the quality of care of children. Yes, there are things happen, and that's why we try to improve it every day. But every time we try to improve something, it's the members opposite who keep on complaining. And I'll continue to work hard for it, along with my staff here. Very proud of the staff and the social workers and everybody that's involved in social development. And again, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, to the member opposite, I will not stop working hard for the people of this province, and I will continue to do so day in, day out, and 7 days a week. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'd like to say that was eloquent, but it wasn't.
That's good, Chuck.
Mr. Chair, we have a department in need of help. And we know that the Child and Youth Advocate is going to do a review on the most recent case. We know that the Child and Youth Advocate is doing a report on child welfare. And the Department of Social Development, I'm sure, welcomes that, because I'm very sure that they all want to do the very best for every child in this province. But the fact of the matter is, we have a minister who is sticking to speaking points. He's not understanding where the gaps are. He doesn't want to understand where the gaps are, because that's going to take real work. And we've gone through this for 3.5 years now. This is their file. This is their responsibility. And they're not making the effort to change it. This minister is not leading.